Good morning, students. In the last classes, we have seen what are the characteristics of a living organism and what do you mean by taxonomical hierarchy, in which we are arranging the different taxa. Okay, and the taxa starting from the kingdom and ending with the species. And I have given an exercise where we have discussed two identification from the plants and two identification from the plants and the animals. I think it's all clear for you. Now let's pass to the next topic. It's also a very simple topic for you people. That is a taxonomical aid. Now let's have a detailed study of what are the different taxonomical aids that we are using for the taxonomical classification. Okay, so what do you mean by the word aid? Aid means something that helps us. And for what you need the help? You need the help for the taxonomic classification. And here I have given you the picture, and in that picture you can see the different components that is present in the taxonomical aid. The herbarium, then comes the botanical garden, then different manuals are there that is helping for as a taxonomical aid, then the flora, then the keys, then zoological park, then the museum, and then the monographs. I think these words are clear for you and these words are familiar for you. Okay, now let's deal with each and every topic in a little bit detail. So let's start with an herbarium. Might be this word is new for you, that word called the herbarium. What do you mean by the word herbarium? Yeah, what is the need of this taxonomical aid? I have given you one paragraph here why we need the help of the taxonomical aid. Okay, so what is the need of the taxonomical aid? Taxonomical aids, they are actually the collections of the sample, and that is preserved and which help in the extensive research. Which helps in the extensive research, and also it helps in the identification, and we can classify them into different taxonomical hierarchy. So this is a basic need of the taxonomical aids. Okay, and this is important in the taxonomical characterization because we need to identify the organism that belongs to various fields like agriculture, then industries, then the bioresources, etc. So with the help of the taxonomical aid, that is a main source that is helping us to study the different groups, yeah, the study the identifying characters of the different group or the family and how they belong to all these families. Okay, so let's see that is called as a herbarium. I think this is something new for you, herbarium, but this is a very simple thing. What is a herbarium? It's actually we are taking a plant specimen, and whenever you take a plant specimen, you have to take in such a way that it contains a stem, and the leaves, the arrangement of leaves should be visible, and if possible a flower should be there. And with that twig, you can call it as a twig. With that twig, what you will do, you will preserve that twig. Normally what we used to do is that we used to keep this plant in between the two newspapers. Okay, and above that newspapers we will pile up some more weight so that it will be pressed in between that two newspapers. Might be you people all have done the preservation of a rose. Whenever you get a rose, what we normally do, we keep it inside a book, and after some days you can see that it's completely dehydrated, it's completely dried up. So the same process we are using here, but you call a name as the herbarium because this is the herbarium that we use for the identification of the some of the plants later. So if I am preserving one herbarium, that will be recorded in my name with all the identifying characters written there. Okay, it will be clear when I show you the picture of the herbarium. So what is a herbarium? Let's define the herbarium. It's a collection of the pressed, then dried, preserved plants, and that has been mounted in the paper sheets. Okay, and another thing is that it has to be properly labeled, systematically arranged, and the label, there is a label at the bottom of that paper, and that contains lots of information like the place of the collection, and what is the English name of that plant, then what is the local name, and what is the botanical name, and in which family they belong to. So all these details will be recorded in that page where we are going to stick that herbarium. Yeah, where we are going to stick that dried specimen. Well, you see the picture. This is a herbarium sheet. So can you see here? This is a plant. Okay, this is a plant, and the flower is here. The basic parts are here, like there is a leaf has been shown, and by seeing the leaf, we can identify that they are originating from a single point. Okay, and you have to see the whether the leaves have opposite whorled, and from whether the flower is terminal or axial. All these details you will get from observing this specimen. Okay, now you can see it's completely dried up and it has been pasted in a paper. Okay, and here, normally here, there will be one name slip. You can call it as a name slip, where we normally write a collector's name, the place of collection, what is the local name, what is the scientific name, and if any identifying characters that we can write, whether they are stem, herb, shrub, anything that we can write here. Okay, and the date. Okay, so this is how we prepare the herbarium. And there are herbarium museums are there, where we can go and see if you have any doubts about any of the plants, and they have been arranged like in a library. They have been arranged according to the alphabets in the sense, it's not that simple alphabet. First they will be arranged in the families, then families will be ordered, like that it has been arranged according to the hierarchy. I think it's clear. The herbarium. So this is one of the taxonomical aids that help in the identification and classification of the plant. Next one, the most common one again, botanical gardens. We all went to many of the botanical gardens. Might be it's like a recreation for us. But if you observe carefully, you can see that the plants and the trees especially, we can see there are proper nameplates have been attached with that in a metallic plate. Have you seen that? If you have not seen, next time when you visit any garden, you please observe that the trees have been named. They have a plate with a steel metal plate, and in that the scientific name, the local name, the family, all the details of the trees or plants has been given there. Okay, that is the significance of the botanical garden. So let's see the characteristics of the botanical garden. These are the gardens in which the specific plants are grown and labeled according to their taxonomy. The labels carry their scientific names and the family, and the main purpose of this is to identify the plant species under consideration. And I've given you some examples of the botanical garden. That is a botanical garden at Kew, England, and then Indian Botanical Garden that is present at Howrah, India, and at National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow, that is in the India. So these are the some of the famous botanical gardens. The botanical garden Howrah. This is actually, even I have visited this botanical garden. This is actually the entry point of this Howrah garden. That is a botanical garden that is in the Kolkata. Okay, so now you understood. Yeah, it's clear for you that what is the use of the botanical. Next time when you visit the botanical gardens, you please see whether the trees and plants have been labeled properly. Okay. Now, the next one, next taxonomical aid that we are discussing is about the museum. Museum also, you might have seen many museum, at least social studies might be when you have a visit to any of the Redford museums and all. But here, this museum is mainly for the plants and animals. Okay, so whenever you had a visit to a museum, you might have seen how the different plants and animals have been preserved. Some of the animals, what they do, they will do the stuffing. Okay, what do you mean by the word stuffing? They take out all the degradable organs from inside the body of the animal, and they stuff it with some cotton, yeah, any of the clothes, so that it will give that shape and it give that representation. Okay, this is how we preserve the some of the animals. And some animals, small specimens, you might have seen in your labs, in your bio labs, you might have seen they have been preserved in some chemical solution, so that it will be lasting for a long time. Okay, and plants, already we have shown that they can be dried up, they can be pinned up. So these things you can see in a museum. Mainly we see the animal specimen that has been preserved. Okay, now let's see what are the identifying characters of the museum. Museum is a building where the preservation, okay, preservation and exhibition of inanimate objects to illustrate the human or the natural history. The biological museums are generally set up by the educational institutions, and they have a collection of preserved plants and the animal specimen for the study and the reference. Okay, and sometimes we have seen that some specimens have been preserved in a jar, that is a collecting jar, and the animals, small animals can be preserved like that in a formalin solution. Okay, but the bigger animals, they can be stuffed with a cotton or some other chemicals can be injected into this, so that they will represent that animal. Okay, clear? See, this is a museum, and how these animals have been preserved here. Can you see this pictures? Okay, I'm not naming any of the animals here, but you see, they are looking like the real animal. So how they look like the real animal? Because they have been stuffed up. Okay, and we normally used to go to see the museum, and it's interesting to see. And though you can see the animal's name, again, the full details will be the like which family they belong to, which order, and what's the local name, what is the scientific name, all the details you can get in this museum. Clear? Zoological park that everyone knows, and I think we all had visited the zoological park, especially in Delhi. We are in Delhi, we all have visited the zoological park. Now, what's the use of the zoological park? In zoological park, we can see some of the animals, not like 50 animals have been preserved in one cage. One representation of these animals will be caged, and they have been given the proper food, they have been taken care of properly, all the medical aids, everything has been given to them, because they are representing that group of animals. Okay, so it will not become extinct, because we are taking care of them in an artificial environment. Okay, like it's not in situ conservation, we are doing ex situ conservation. What do you mean by ex situ conservation? We are taking that animal from their natural habitat, and we are keeping them separately in some places where we can take care of them. Okay, that is advantage, because you can't go to any forest, and you can't take care of them in the forest. So what we can do, we can get up from there in situ conservation center, and we can put it in the ex situ centers like a zoological park. Clear? So what is happening in a zoological park? These animals are being protected, and this is one of the recreation center also. People normally go and visit these places like an educational trip. We can conduct an educational trip, and we can take the students to see the zoological park. And it's not just for fun. You please note, whenever you are going to a zoological park, you might have seen there is a board there, and in that board all the details of that animal has been given: scientific name, the local name, what are the identifying characters of that animal. If you are seeing, you might are thinking that why these things are being given. This is the identification of that animal. Okay, and they try to provide a natural habitat, and that is a main place for helping them for the breeding. That is called as a captive breeding of the species. Captive breeding matlab, you are making it in an ex situ centers, and you are helping them to breed artificially. Okay, and they take proper care of these animals, and don't allow the animals to be starved. So sometimes in the forest and all, they might be lacking the food, and they can die, and the species become extinct. So to prevent these things, we are keeping them in the zoological park, and that by seeing these animals, even we can identify, okay, which class, which family, which order, we can make a taxonomical categorization of these animals. Okay, so that is the zoological park, and I think all had a visit to the zoological park, especially in the Delhi picture. This is a national zoological park in Delhi. We can see some animals have been, pictures have been given here. These all animals are in the zoological park of the Delhi. Okay, if you have not visited, make a visit to the zoological park. Of course, you had visited when we were in a small child. Okay, now might be you are not interested, but now you have to visit after studying this chapter if you have not visited, because you have to see how they have been classified. Clear? The next one, the little bit different one along with this, is a key. Key is not like what is your lock and key. That keys we are not referring here. Keys actually it's look like a dictionary. Understand? So in a dictionary, what you will do, you will first see the first letter of that word. Like if it is a lesson, so what you will see, first you look for the L, then you look for E, then S, then O, then N. Finally you will get that word in front of you. The same thing we are doing with a key, but this key, what we have to do, we are selecting a plant, and in your key, that is like I told, it's like a dictionary. There are two options for you. I'm just giving one example. There are two options for you. That is, the plant is having opposite leaves. Here the plant is not having opposite leaves. So this character you will call it as a couplet. Okay, this character you will call it as a couplet. Matlab, the same character but two different types. So one with opposite leaves, one without opposite leaves. So you have the leaf in front, you have your plant in front of you, and you are observing the first thing, whether the leaves are opposite arranged, whether they are not oppositely arranged. If it is oppositely arranged, then you have to select that oppositely arranged, rejecting the other character. Now, under these, like not oppositely arranged, there are many characters coming, so you are rejecting that side and you are taking this side where it is written it is oppositely arranged. Okay, now in that oppositely arranged, another option you are getting, like the flower is terminal, the flower is axial. So you again you are observing the plant and you are seeing whether that flower is in the terminal position or whether they are in the axial position. If it is in the terminal, then what you have to do, this axial, and under the axial there are lots of characters can be given, so that you are going to reject. So you are taking the second part, that is the terminal one, and under the terminal again you have lots of options. Like that you will keep on adding and you are deleting, you are taking one, you are deleting the other, like that you will keep on going, and finally you will reach the name of that plant. It's not an easy thing, it need an expertism, because we have to observe that plant very carefully, then only we can study the characteristics. Okay, so this is what we do with the help of a key. So there are some terms given there, like couplet. Couplet means the two characters. Okay, and one we are accepting and other character we are rejecting. Okay, now let's see some of the important points that is in the key. So key is a taxonomical aid, and that is mainly based on the similarities and the dissimilarities. Clear? Now the next one, they have a contrasting character. I told you a plant that is having an opposite leaf. I'm just giving one example. It's not always opposite leaf. Any other characters also can be taken. So the plant having one leaf with opposite leaves and without opposite leaf, and that pair of contrasting character we will call the word as the couplet. Clear? So the contrasting characters, they generally occur, like the AP plant, they're having tall, yeah, they're having dwarf. So that is the same character. What is the character? Height of the plant. And you're having the two contrasting characters, so you're calling that as the couplet. Now, it as the your option, that is you have a choice. With these two options, you have to select any one. Okay. Then this results in acceptance of one character and the rejection of the other character. And each statement, एक जो statement है key में, that is called as the lead. Clear? So these are the main things that you have to understand, that is similarities and dissimilarities, and you have a choice between two opposite options. Contrasting characters are there, they are called as the couplet, and you are accepting one and you are rejecting one, and each and every statement that is present in the key is called as the lead. Okay, now I have given here the key. Can you see here? This is what I was telling. See here, you are taking a plant, this is a. Okay, now what you have to see, it's like a needle leaves. One option is needle leaves and other option is non-needle leaves. If it is a needle leaf, what you will do, you will go to number 2. So I am selecting it as the needle leaf. Okay, like this one. So I am selecting it as the needle leaf. So where I have to go, I am going into the number 2. Yes or no? Yes. Then the needles are clustered. There are two options. So needles are clustered, needles are in singlet. So can you tell the option? So this is the needles are clustered. I think you can see this picture. So the needles are clustered. So if the needles are clustered, then what is the name of that plant? That is the pine. Okay, so this is how. And if I have opted for the next one, non-needle leaves, where I have to go to 3. Go to set 3, and there I have two options, whether they have symbol leaves, whether they have compound leaves. And if it is symbol leaf, again I have to go to 4. Okay, I'm going to 4. Now in 4 there are two options again, smooth edge, jagged edge. So if I'm selecting smooth edge, I have to go to 5. Okay, and if it is 5, there are two options, leaf edge is smooth, leaf edge is low. And if it is leaf edge is smooth, then I have to go to the magnolia. Understand? So this is how we use the key. I think it's clear from this picture. So this is called that there are 2-3 terms that we have to study. That is a couplet, then accepting one and rejecting the other one, and the lead. Okay. The last one, just like a group of things that we are, again we are getting some help from this, that is the like we are having some flora means flowering plants. We are getting the lot of taxonomical help from the flora. And we have the manuals where we publish many things, monographs about a single category. And we have the catalogs where you can see the lots of groups have been arranged in an order. So these all we use mainly as the taxonomical aids. So including flora, manual, monographs and the catalogs. And already we discussed the previous one. These all together we help, it helps in the taxonomical classification. Okay, now the flora, what is the flora? The flora stands for the plants, so it describes the plants in a given area. And the monograph, we have seen here the word monograph. The monograph, it normally contains only the information about any single taxon. I think this topic is clear. What are the different the taxonomical aids that we are dealing with? So herbarium we have seen, then botanical gardens, then museums, then the zoological parks, then the keys. Okay, and the others are like we have the flora, we have manuals, then monographs and the catalog. These are with help of all these taxonomical aid that will be a greater blessing for us in the helping of the taxonomical classification. I think the topic is clear for you. You just go through your NCERT book where you can see all these things in detail. The pictures I have given here, you can go through this picture because not so much pictures in your NCERT book. So with this picture, your topic will be more clear for you. I hope everyone understood. Go through your topic and utilize the time. Thank you.